Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on A World Awakening. My dear friend Thom Owen will be my guest. For anybody that missed Soul School in the last hour, even though we had a few technical glitches at the beginning, it was a fascinating visit with my co host, my partner, Jeff Turner, up in Michigan, where the Wi Fi sucks terribly. Um, and the whole show is about homecoming. The whole notion, they say you can't go home again, but actually, yes, you can. uh, it's also been a week of gifts for me, and I'd like to just take a moment to thank my friend Dottie Ann up in Houghton Lake, Michigan, who sent me this absolutely beautiful amulet thing. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to use it or what I'm going to use it on, but that's my hair in there. And she asked me to send her a couple of locks of my hair. So I did. I'm thinking, oh, she's going to burn it in a cauldron. It's coming. I know it. But no, in fact, she actually made me this beautiful thing. And if you have the hair of a loved one that you want to keep in acrylic forever, reach out to her, and I will post on Facebook how to get in touch with Dottie Ann, and she does everything by hand. She's brilliant. And my friend, my darling friend Sabrina Joy. I know, isn't it? Oh my God, it's so beautiful. So I've been going through this very strange thing. And Thom and I will probably talk about that too, because, we talk about spiritual metamorphosis all the time, and the things that happen to us and why. And this past week, I've just been showered in these incredible gifts. And one of them came from my friend Greg, who's one of my readers, who ordered something amazing for me from the Vatican and had it sent to me, a beautiful piece of art that's got the Blessed Virgin Mary in the center, and then the two little girls that Fatima, that saw her, and she spoke to them. And then, so I thought it was her that sent it to me, and she said, no, but I was just going to send you my St. Francis. She went to the Vatican last year on a trip to Italy, and she came back with this incredible rosary that's got a picture of Saint Francis, Pope Francis, and of course the crucifix. And it's a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous container to hold my keepsake forever, which is the rosary beads. Now, everybody that knows me knows that I've always considered myself a recovering Catholic. Having been thrown out of the church when I was 15 years old for asking too many questions during confirmation classes. That I've had a very conflicted relationship with Catholicism for a wide variety of reasons. And yet, I loved Pope Francis. And I love Pope Leo, and I feel this strange, swirling, odd connection. And my whole show with Jeff was about you can't go home again, but yes, you can. And, I'm asking myself, like, what is happening to me? Why did I wake up at 4:00 in the morning, bolt upright, and coming on television at 4:00 that morning, like a couple of weeks ago, was Pope Leo's inaugural mass? And I sat there and I watched the whole thing, and I was just mesmerized by him. And I don't know what's happening to me. Oh my God. But anyway, gifts showered, spiritual, lovely gifts, and so much about the Mother Mary, and Let It Be keeps ringing and ringing in my head all the time. Mother Mary comes to me. Words of wisdom, let it be. So I've had some spiritual transformations I can't even explain that it's going on with me. And Thom Owen, who I'm bringing on right now, has had some spiritual transformation himself. Okay, Bill, right now would be the clue to put him on the screen. Okay, thank you. Thom, how are you, darling?
How are you doing?
Good, good.
Good. It's good to see you. Even though I talk to you all the time, but it's good to see you.
I know it is. It's good to see you too. Well, I wanted you, we've been in touch and you've been sharing with me some of the things that have been going on with you. And we got to meet in person, what, about 6 weeks ago now,
Yep.
up at Houghton Lake, Michigan, for our Mystical Awakenings spiritual retreat.
hmm
So, why don't you tell the audience what happened?
Well, I met this lady named Andrea, and well, I went and I found community. I found my community. I met my community, which was interesting. And you know, we all look like we have different paths in lives, but energetically, we came together like nobody's business, and I
Yeah,
thought that was beautiful.
yeah.
Um, and then you blew my third eye open and it changed my life. So I don't know. Do you want to cut to the chase or how do you want to do that?
Well, I did warn you in advance.
I know, but I didn't even think I was debating whether or not to even do it because I was like, I mean, I'm, a psychic medium. I feel like I'm in that world and have a pretty good grip on it. I didn't know what was going to happen, but it was wonderful. It was just, everything's been weird ever since, and it's just been growing and it's been beautiful and it's been um transformational. Like I am a different person now because of that. And I don't know if it was the crystal, which you can certainly explain because you would explain it better than I, but um the way that I physically almost fell into your arms when you did it, it felt like I said, if an onlooker was going to be watching, that it looked like I was in a Pentecostal church and I was getting healed, minus the snake. So, um, yeah. And all I saw when you were doing it were flashes of the blue light that we always talk about. So I saw that blue light and I saw ancient symbols, sigils, if you will, like flashing. And it felt like your finger was going a million miles an hour. It was very surreal.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I was like, okay, like I'm fine. And then I was like, no, I'm not. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it started. And since then, I'm seeing things in the sky. I'm bothering the electricity. It seems as if lots of synchronicities are happening. Just strange spirit interactions. I was with a coworker working and she was 20 feet away from me and my phone rang and I picked it up out of my pocket to look at who it was and it was her and her phone wasn't in her hand. Her phone was in the bag next to me. And she went over to the bag and pulled it out and sure enough it was calling me. It was bizarre. And things like that have been happening. Um, Also, let's say, I mean, I already had a spiritual connection to the native spirits in the woods next to my house, and I speak to them. I pay my respects to them, but they've acknowledged me, but they've never. I just thought that that's the way it was, with me and them. And then when I came back from Houghton Lake, I was received in the woods when I was walking my dog that day, like I was coming home from battle. I was family. I was looked forward to see. They were lining up. And I had never had anything like I didn't even really know how to respond to that because I didn't know exactly who they were. Were they doing this for me? Were they doing this? I just
Yes, they were honoring you, sweetheart. They were acknowledging you and honoring you and welcoming you home back into the fold in a way that you had not experienced before.
exactly.
And the reason was because you were now in their realm. You were now in fourth and fifth dimension. You were able to communicate with them on an entirely different level because you were able to jump dimensions to do that. And it happens instantaneously.
Yeah, it was almost like I was seeing them without sunglasses or something, like
Yeah.
finally clear, and I feel like I could feel pressure in the air as far as like the movement of spirit, and I could almost feel like there was a smell to them as well of like herbs that I didn't smell before. It was really fascinating, and you know, I walk almost every day up there, so I talk to them every day, and it's a beautiful relationship, and it just got more beautiful because of having this experience. And I, you know, and it's experiences like that, they're around every corner that I just haven't anticipated. I mean, things are just strange. I feel like I've been given glimpses into different dimensions, and it's almost like they're waving like, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
You know, like we're over here too, you know what I mean? Like it's I haven't landed on my feet yet, I'll say that much.
The photograph that you sent me probably a month ago,
Mhm.
the portal with the lights coming through that you took as a still, but the photograph was actually moving.
Yes.
You sent it. I downloaded it immediately because I was like, I am not losing this.
Okay.
And I sent it to John Tenney, and I sent it to several other people who I wanted to look at it and to see. But it was obviously, to me, it was obviously a photograph of a portal right directly above you. Did you take that photograph while you were in the woods, looking out of the woods?
I was in the park, and I just felt called to look up into the sky, and I didn't know what I was shooting. I just shot, but I was standing in like a grassy field.
Okay.
Yeah, but right, I mean, they're at the wood's edge, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that I've had that happen too, where I've taken a still photograph, but when my phone, it hops into my phone and is processed in my phone, it's actually moving. So I get to see some pretty interesting things.
Yeah,
over time. I crawled into Amy Bruni's lap one time. She had the window seat, and I just about crawled right into her lap because something told me to take a picture out the side of the plane. And the video of it is of, you know, on your phone, the little triangular white thing that, you know, tells you how your phone is functioning.
Right.
That emblem, that symbol came and flew right up to the window of the plane and then took off.
Wow.
And I took a single snapshot. I touched it and it was over. And I still have it. You should have seen Tenny's face when I showed it to him. It was like 5-6 years ago. And yeah, it just, it's an amazing thing. But that's part of the energy and the connection between you, the thing that you use to capture what they're willing to share, and how that all comes together in a split second to create something that literally comes alive so that you can see their interaction. This is really just the beginning. You know, I mean, before we even came on air, I said to you when we were still talking with Bill that this is an amalgamation of all the gifts that you bring to the table as a psychic, as a medium, as a healer, and all of this new opening, burgeoning blossom. And it's all the same garden. And so eventually you'll have a merging as the bulbs spread and more blossoms come, to use, you know, analogous to the growing of a garden in spring. And it'll all be one thing. And it'll just be so natural to you, but you've only had 5 or 6 weeks to adjust to this. I mean, I went through decades of literally processing silently, quietly, not even discussing things with my family members about experiences that I had growing up at the farm, experiences that I've had with the galactic family. For the most part, I keep that to myself for the most part. And I noticed that you're doing that too. And you called me one day and you said that you were kind of feeling a little squeamish and uncomfortable in your own skin, that you had a few days of struggles, that you didn't understand why, or, you know, what kind of conversion was taking place, that this would happen to you. And I believe I said to you that there is nothing easy about enlightenment or spiritual ascension. There is nothing easy about it, which is why it's so easy to ignore it. The same reason why people don't want to feel empathy, because even if they put themselves in the shoes of someone suffering for a moment, they feel that suffering too, and they want to avoid that pain.
Right.
So they just don't go there.
That makes sense. Definitely makes sense.
Yeah. Well, now you're open. Now you're completely open, and the empathy and the compassion has been turned up. How many notches for you? How many notches?
It's hard because, like, and I've heard of people like this. It's like, especially one of my teachers said she's like this, but you know, someone can brush against you, and then you get all of this information, and it's like a involuntary download. You know what I mean? It's so there's a lot of I don't know, it's just a big learning curve for me. You know, this is new, and, you know, my readings have been better because of it. I'm like walk in, like, it feels as just like my relationship with spirit is like got internet now or something. That's what it feels like.
High speed internet.
Yeah. So I don't know where this is going to lead me, but I certainly absolutely love it, and I'm thankful for it, because every day is an adventure. And I felt almost just like you said, I just had to, like, get on my back and float, you know, because that's the only way you can do it. So I've been trying.
Well, you did spend a little bit of time, what Jeff Turner would have called a season, a little bit of time swimming against the current.
True.
You know, trying to find what it is that you want when you already have it. And once you realize that you already have everything that you want from this experience, all you have to do is literally flip over and float, let the sun beam down on your beautiful face, and let the current carry you, because the universe knows the way home.
Exactly. I know it's too much energy to fight it, because it's too weird.
I know. I also blew you out, I think twice. Blew you right out of our conference room that weekend with my energy, my vibration being so high that you had to go get air.
And you were like, wow.
Wow. I didn't mean to scare him off. Shit.
I'm sensitive. I'm super sensitive. It's, you know, beautiful and terrifying. But
well, it is a blessing and a curse simultaneously. But then, you know, we live in a three-dimensional world where good and evil are in constant conflict, where there is darkness and light simultaneously, one impaling the other. It is it's the thing I love most about the Lakeside Conference Center, where we were and where we will be again at the end of September for UFO Contact, which, if you think the last one was intense, wait till you go to UFO Contact. I mean, that place is on ley lines. That place, I get lost in it all the time, and I can't tell you how many days, weeks of my life I have spent on that property, and I still get lost in it. I get disoriented. I don't know which floor I'm supposed to go to. I get lost in a place that I know very, very well. It's because it's not in 3D. Right. I'm not in 3D when I'm in there.
It feels like it's a ship. It feels like it's moving with water, and it feels as if it's like its own entity. It's weird. The building has a spirit. Yeah.
Well, that's where Jeff Turner and I met for the first time. And it's where you and I met for the first time.
Yep.
And I'm finding that my associations with my own happen there frequently. I meet people there that will be a part of my life for the rest of my life. There's no question. I mean, you have that moment of recognition, that I know you moment. I know your soul, that moment where you just come together and that's it.
Yep.
And that bond is forged in steel.
Yep.
And it is, it's very inspiring. It's a little bit, it leaves you a little shaken and stirred, you know, like a cocktail. It just leaves you a little shaken and stirred, that you can walk up to someone who is, for all intents and purposes, a virtual stranger, and know that you have known them and loved them for eternity. And that is a remarkable thing to happen.
Yep. It was,
yeah.
It was beautiful to meet you. And I just felt like, you know, we had to almost put our humanness aside and just feel what our souls and what our spirits were saying to each other, which was, hi, you know, we know each other. Like I could feel you in the fabric of what my soul is. And it's just like, oh, there's home. Like it felt like home. It felt like we were reunited.
Yes. And that's what it was. And then I put
instant
a galactic stone into your hand.
You did do that.
I never took that stone to any event ever. I mean, that is like one of my most precious, prized possessions, is a stone that comes right from the center of a crop circle in Wiltshire County, England, and that had just dropped the night before. And one of my friends and one of my producers happened to be the first one, she and her partner. And there were 4 stones set up as a perfect square, four corners, these 4 stones, which you saw, it's not from here. It's not stone from Earth.
No, I had never felt anything like that before. Energetically, like it's tektite adjacent, but it's different, and it almost feels like it's a pulsing energy.
Yeah, and it has something, if you hold it long enough and it gets warm enough, you can see that there looks like there's a little pod in the center of it. It literally becomes translucent, and it's a 3-sided pyramid.
That's right. That's right.
You know, what? You know, I mean, what? But something told me to bring it. Something told me to bring it. And I found out that weekend, that anybody that touches it is immediately impacted by it, that its energy alone, just holding it in your hands just for a few moments, is enough to connect you to them that fast. And I didn't know that that was going to happen. Something told me to bring it. I guess that's the only way I can, you know, say. I put it in my pocket hoping I wasn't going to get searched. And they're like, why is she carrying a rock? You know, but it's not just any rock. It's not just any stone. And I don't know if I'll ever take it to another event again, but I knew you were supposed to hold it. Knew that you were going to have energetically a connection that was going to be established by holding it. And it was. So really, you telling this tonight, you know, validates my reason for bringing it, which I appreciate.
Well, yeah. And I mean, a lot of people held it, but even, you know, Carmen, she's a Reiki master. She's like, you know, been attuned.
I guess next week. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure she'll talk about that. But I mean, she said that felt like her master attunement, or even more, you know, like I'd never had an attunement. So all of that was just, it feels too good to be true. It feels as if I've started another chapter, another book, even perhaps in my life. It's, you know, meeting you changed everything, and, you know, I'll never forget it.
Well, thankfully you won't have to, because I don't plan on going anywhere.
Well, no, you're not going anywhere. We need you.
Yeah, No, I have to get through my chapter.
Yep.
And then leave it behind and share my story of this experience. This, I mean, knock down, drag out fight, this passive aggressive fight that I'm having with cancer. 1 minute, I'm like surrendering to the powers that be, the higher ups, whatever. And then the next minute, get the fuck out of my big fat fluffy temple now, you son of a bitch, and go live with your father, the devil. And I say it every day. I mean it. As soon as I say it, I start having pain, which is good because the pain is, it's frying and liquefying cancer cells, and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And so, the power of the mind, the power of our words, the power of our thoughts being things, when we, with intention, put something out into the universe, it's just going to reflect back to us and do for us what our intention is. And I consider it a good intention to mutilate and kill cancer cells. I think that's a really good thing to do.
I think
with
so.
my time.
I agree with that.
Is to brutalize them and make them beg for mercy and then die screaming and then leave my body. And I don't care in what direction. They're all screaming right now, where's the nearest exit? She's so mean to us. Yeah, I am. I'm very mean to them.
Good. They deserve it.
And they deserve it. They deserve it. But I also know it's the strangest thing, but I know that this all happened to me for a reason. I mean, my doctor told me I've probably been walking around with this since 2019, 2020.
Oh, wow.
That my cancer was so advanced.
Wow.
That I was probably 4 or 5 years into it when it was finally diagnosed.
Well, you probably knew in the back of your head too a little bit. You said that you knew and your mom knew.
Yeah, my mother knew. Yeah, my mom did. And my mom's helping me. And yesterday was the first anniversary of her passing. And at 8:58 last night, my sisters, we were on the phone all talking and praying together and talking to mom and giving her and our sister April instructions about what we would like for them to do at this time in the course of human history and how to intervene on all of our behalf, and assured them that we would be doing their good work for them down here on this planet. And it was very comforting, and it was a wonderful, brilliant, beautiful connection that we had last night so that we could all honor and celebrate her and have a lovely conversation with her for a few minutes in prayer.
That's beautiful. Really beautiful. Hopefully it'll be a tradition for you.
Yes, I hope so. I certainly do hope so. And I know that she is helping me. And, I have been showered suddenly with gifts, holy, sacred things, and I said to one of my friends, everybody knows I'm going to one of the big marches tomorrow. And everybody has been reaching out saying, be safe, be safe, be safe. And that is fear. I'm afraid something is going to happen to you. Be safe, be safe, be safe. And my response to that is, I live under the divine galactic dome of protection. And I'm going to have to, split some of the energy of that for a little bit tomorrow, because some of them are going to have to split off and go to Florida in the morning and get in the car because Dad and Carlene are coming up to spend Father's Day here for Sunday. So they're coming in tomorrow afternoon. So, some of them are going to have to stay with me. Some of them are going to have to go there. It doesn't matter. They don't take up any space. They do not need to stop and pee. They don't want to eat anything. They just want to be there with us. All the spirits and all the angels and, oh, great spirit and Jesus, Mary and Joseph and all the galactic family and everybody get in the car. We're going for a ride, and it's a beautiful melding, like the amalgamation that is going on with you right now, with your deep-seated, I would say, birth gifts of your abilities as a medium, your abilities to connect in a way. But now that aperture has widened and will continue to widen till the point where it's so big that one of these days, I am going to get a call in the morning from you telling me that you went off planet.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah. You will call me and say, I'm astral projecting. I visited so-and-so last night.
I've done it before, so I'll be interested to see how it is with the new digs.
Yeah. But off planet is great. Off planet is really great. I don't always know where I'm going. I don't often recognize where I am.
What's a typical experience?
There is no typical experience.
That's the typical experience.
Yeah, the typical experience is that each and every one is atypical.
Right.
I had an experience once where I don't know where it was, but I was suddenly with human beings that I knew that were my childhood friends. And one of them, who has since passed away, was coming down a hill on a skateboard, and he lost his balance and he went flying into the bay. And I jumped into the water.
Oh, wow. And
pulled him up, and he was not breathing. And I held him in my arms as though he was a little baby. And just willed him back to life. I didn't bang on his back and he coughed up water. He had hit his head. He hadn't drowned. He had hit his head. And he was unconscious. And I willed him. He died in my arms, and I willed him back to life. And then all of a sudden I looked up and I saw a planet that looked like Jupiter, I think. But then it pulled out in a way like it was moving away very, very quickly. And then all the stars started spinning, like those long exposure shots of the universe where everything is, and it did that. And then I woke up.
Wow.
And it will stay with me for the rest of my life.
What kind of meaning have you made out of that?
I don't know, but I don't know what to make of it. I do not know what to make of it. I don't. I had an experience. The most intense one was being back in Burrillville, where the farm is, my childhood home, and driving in a car that I never even owned, some kind of a stripped down Audi from the 70s, pulling off the side of the road because there was an electrical short malfunction, and everything in the car electrically got sucked dry, and I had to pull off the side of the road. And I saw a vessel in the sky, and I started running toward it to cross the bridge from Pascogan to Harrisville, and something was chasing me and biting at the side of my jeans, like pulling at the side of my jeans. And I turned around. I thought it was a dog. And I turned around, and it was an extraterrestrial, a very small one with big, beautiful almond eyes, black. I could see my own reflection in his eyes. I knew it was a he. And he jumped up into my arms and held onto me for dear life, like
Mm.
he was being chased. And then all of a sudden I heard sirens and I heard helicopters, and I started running with him in my arms, and running and running and running until I literally ran all the way back to the farm,
Wow.
and was completely, utterly, totally winded, and held him tight to me. And he was terrified. And his little face, it was just looking up into my face like, just save me, please save me. And all of a sudden, all these authorities converged on us. And I was in a bubble of energy where they could not get through it to get to me. And
Mm.
I just lifted him up and held him to the
Wow.
top of this dome, and the dome opened and he was gone.
Wow.
And I felt like it was some kind of test, like, what would I be willing to do to save one of our galactic family who maybe got accidentally left behind? It was like an ET moment for me. It
Yeah.
was the strangest. And it was, I woke up, my legs hurt so bad, Thom, I couldn't walk.
Mm. Wow.
It was an incredible physical pain. The arm that I was holding him in felt frozen from the shoulder on down. I
Oh,
could not move my arm. I could not move my legs. I was in a suite with my father. He's like way on the other side of a door. And I cried out in such pain that it woke him up. And he came to check on me immediately to see what was happening with me. And I'll never forget it. And I don't know what that was, or what dimension, or what time span, or when this occurred, or where the hell that car came from, and
right.
who he was. But that ship followed me to the farm, and up he went, and he was safe, and he was returned to his family. And I had a part in that. And
Why they love you so much.
you know, it's shit like that that makes people go, wow, she's nuts.
No, you got heart. You got heart.
Yeah, what a weirdo she is. And I wish I had the answers. And there are going to be things that happen to you the same way, that you'll wish you had the answers to
Yeah.
what you just experienced. And I think that we just have to spiritually grow to a point where we can have the experience and not have the explanation,
I
and accept and embrace that.
just got to get used to it.
Yeah.
So, because
Yeah.
spirit seems more logical than galactic family to me. They seem to move because they were human, so they have that humanness, and there just seems to be so much. Like I told you, I felt them around my house a little bit, and I could see them in my third eye. So it's almost like this, like it's a different way of communicating, and it's a different process. It feels like
It is different.
and so I'm trying to learn that kind of language a bit with them.
Mhm.
Because I can tell the difference, because spirit doesn't operate that way. So
Right.
you always tell the difference.
And they seem in their realm to have limited operations. They can mess with mechanical devices. They can interrupt currents of electricity. They can move objects. They can import from something from point A to point B. They can literally move physical objects from 3D into 4D and then back again.
Wow.
Spirit has certain tricks up their sleeves that our extraterrestrial family bypasses completely.
Wow.
That's not what they do. It's not what they do. I mean, I've been physically lifted off that sofa and
Wow.
placed into a vat of vibrating gel that was completely invisible to me, that covered my face, and I could still breathe, and have my body vibrated to such an extent that I could feel every cell. I could feel every single cell just shaking, shaking, shaking. Lasted for about 15, 20 seconds. then it was over. I didn't even open my eyes because I didn't know who I was going to see, if I was going to see anybody at all. And what I saw was my dog staring at something hovering over me. And then it was gone, and she laid down and went back to sleep.
Wow.
I received a healing. Well,
Yeah.
ask Carmen about that. I mean, I want to know what, in terms of healing, and Deb DeRusse too. And, working with frequency, working with vibration, how that, the kilohertz, megahertz, all of that. The earth right now, Tom, is vibrating it in a way that it has never, since they've been recording Earth's vibration. It's off the charts.
Doesn't surprise me.
But a lot of it is a lower vibration of fear. And then the higher vibration of trying to counteract that fear. So, we're, again, with the conflict of, the two. I mean, how many times have I said we haven't learned a goddamn thing? I mean, war is breaking out again in the Middle East. How fast is it going to be before we get dragged into it? I mean, it's the same mistakes. Humanity makes the same mistakes over and over and over again. And that is the definition of insanity. And so before I cast any aspersion on the ability of an extraterrestrial race to think or feel in any way that is in concert with humanity, I think they've progressed to such a point, technologically, spiritually, physically, emotionally, that they look down on Earth and go, oh, the poor children are playing with fire again. No, I feel their disappointment. I feel their grief that we never seem to learn, as though we're a failed experiment. And so some of us, yourself included, I believe, are here to spread that message, to spread that word, that we can heal ourselves. They can't do it for us. We're stupid enough as it is. If they fix all of our problems for us, what will we have learned? Nothing. So we have to save ourselves from ourselves, and they watch over us. Our ancestors, our spirit guides, our angels, whatever else that we feel in the ethereal that we feel, they serve a different purpose, to inform, to let us know that they are there to comfort us, to speak with us in moments of clarity, that blessing, not that curse, but that blessing of that momentary being touched by spirit. Once it's happened to you, you know it. You can't ever unknow it. You will always feel it. You will always be waiting for the next touch, that next moment, that next engagement, that next encounter with spirit. For me, I live with spirit so much, like around me so much, that I take it for granted. I don't mean to, and I don't mean that in any kind of a negative way.
Absolutely.
It's just I live in it, with them.
Right.
And my engagement, my higher calling, is to my intergalactic family, who are, for the most part, humanoid. They're not human, but they're humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
And if everything is one thing, and everything is energy, and everything is created from source energy, then we are the same.
It's true. It's very true. I definitely agree with that. I think that's what everybody needs to realize, because that's what's gonna probably get us through all of this, is having compassion for one another and feeling as if we are together and we're sharing this experience, because we are. So,
Yes, because we are.
let's not mess it up.
Kind of too late for the messing it up part. Let's see what we can fix and how fast we can fix it.
True.
Yeah. And, I was talking about this strange thing that's happening with me that began with Pope Francis, who I keep calling Saint Francis. I know he'll end up being, the second Saint Francis. But this just strange thing that's going on with me. I've got this affinity for Pope Leo to the point that I started drafting a handwritten letter to him that I'm going to send to the Vatican.
Do it.
And I don't expect I'll ever get an answer, but I just feel compelled to write to him. The first words he ever said as Pope to the world, the first words he ever said when he stepped out on the balcony: "Peace be with all of you." What more important message than lead with love? The messages that I get from above, the messages that I'm getting now are scary. I think that we're in for a very tumultuous period of time where nothing's going. This is the paradigm shift, my darling. We talked about this.
Yeah.
In Michigan. We talked about this. This is the paradigm shift. We are in the paradigm shift, squarely in it. And we can either just, put everything on planned ignore and go on about our lives oblivious to it, or we can be a part of the solution of the problems that are presenting themselves.
Absolutely.
And I choose to be a part of the solution, which is why I wanted to take just a moment to let everybody know that I am taking the plunge. I've only been thinking about it for the last 6 years because, I have to think things through. But I have decided to join TikTok before it gets banned or banished or whatever, because I feel like I need to. Oh, there it is. It's right there. See, there's my little page. Lynn Ann Bowling, Linny, is setting this up for me. And we're going to go live on Monday. And anybody that wants to join me on, now I've been cloned a million times. My identity has been stolen. I don't know how many times. I have a Twitter account that was not me. I have an Instagram account that was not me. A TikTok account that was not me. A Facebook page that was not me. I mean, over and over and over. I never even get to complain about it before my followers do and say, this isn't Annie. That we know that this is not, and then they report it and then they make it go away and then somebody else comes. So anyway, I want you, do you TikTok?
I don't, but I guess I'm gonna.
I think you're gonna need to, and I'll tell you why. Apparently it's the rage. Apparently it's the thing. And if we want to reach younger people who are open-minded anyway and expand their consciousness, this is an opportunity to do that. So Linny is setting me up and she's loading some stuff up, and I'm going to start loading live videos on Monday, including some film footage from the rally tomorrow, which should be fun. And there will be dancing, there will be singing. We dance away cancer around here. And I just wanted to share that with my audience tonight. If you are TikTokers, Lenny assures me it's not going anywhere. That there's just too many people that are using it, and it brings too much joy into too many people's lives. And frankly, at this point, I think everybody in the world has all of our personal data. So what is the point? So we're going to start that. But I want to have you back on, Thom, because we've got UFO Con coming up in September. And I want to have you back on too, because I would like you, if you can or would consider maybe doing a few readings on the show.
Okay. I'll
you
consider.
know, for our viewers to call in and connect with you.
Okay.
And you had asked me, I think earlier today, can you open somebody's third eye without actually touching them or being with them? Yes, you
Oh,
can. So come back on the show. Maybe we can have you jump in with Carmen next week. And we'll do some of that work together because, you know, she's amazing.
yes.
And
People to meet her and you're introducing her, and she's a wonderful, wonderful human being. And I'm so blessed to have her in my life.
yeah, she's lovely. She's wonderful. And oh my God, you have a corona, but so does she.
Oh.
It's not an aura. I told you, I think I told you on the phone, you have a corona,
Mm-hmm.
not an aura. And the same is true for Carmen. So everybody that's watching tonight, please, we're going to drop, you know, right now we're going to wind down, but we're just going to pick up where we left off with Carmen. And how do you pronounce her last name? I always screw it up.
I think it's Saba.
Saba. Okay.
Yeah.
Carmen Saba. And of course, Thom Owen. If you're free, please join us. If not, we'll just rebook you for, you know, I would like to do like a group thing, like it was at the table that we shared for the weekend. I was always at your table and,
Right.
you know, the three of us. So yeah, let's do that. And thank you so much. And I'm sorry, I talked a little too much tonight because I had too
Oh,
much coffee.
no. This experience, I want to share it with people to hopefully, hear some feedback, or help people if they're on that journey too, because I was not the only one there that you did that to. So
Yeah, that's true. I've been told that that's true, that it was made quite an impact with quite a few people. I brought my Sorry I Can't Mercury is Retrograde mug tonight. Sorry I can't. And I'll bring one of my vulgar mugs next week.
okay, wonderful.
Yeah, they're really great. I've got a really, really great one I'll share with everybody. It's just the more vulgar, the better. Will they print it on a coffee cup? Oh, hell yes, they will. They don't care as long as they can sell the mug. So with that, thank you, my darling.
Thanks for having me back. It's been so lovely, and I just love you with all my heart and soul. I just love you.
I love you too. And thank you all for joining us tonight. If you can, if the spirit moves you, get out on the streets of America tomorrow. I made posters all day long for my family. And always, always, always be the change that you wish to see in the world. Be the beacon of hope for someone that you can reach down and lift up. And always, always be the light you seek. I love you all. Have a wonderful weekend and be safe. Take care. Good night.